John, you talked about this a couple of days ago. Let's go back to the hurricane season. It was an unprecedented hurricane season across the Gulf Coast states where we had 5 hurricane hits, beginning with Beryl in early July and then ending with Helene and Milton. And these are some of the same areas that got hit by hurricanes. We're now dealing with this, the snowstorm.
Right, and a very unusual and rare snowstorm, and so yet again more serious weather impacts across the Gulf coastline here, places, communities that had lots of damage from all these storms. Milton, Helene, Debbie, Francine, Beryl, the list goes on and on. Now those same areas facing an unusual snow and ice storm. What a year it's been.
All right, we've been talking about this for the last couple of days, John. Interstate 10 is just going to be a mess. I mean, the message we've been telling people all day is to stay off Interstate 10.
It's not where you want to be, and if you have flexible travel plans and you can adjust those plans, today is the time to do it, because we're concerned. Obviously, there have already been road closures along 10. There's extremely heavy snow occurring across parts of Louisiana where that snow is falling 1 to 2 inches per hour. And in northern parts of the United States, that's too much for even the most experienced road crews to keep up with. Never mind here across Louisiana, where there are few snow plows and salters and things of that nature. So we're concerned that there can be stretches of 100 or more miles of 10 closed here for several hours on end. A big problem here, and major expansive delays and closures likely here as the problems continue to shift to the east.
What's been so impressive, oftentimes with these storms, there's ice. There's been no ice, virtually no ice with this storm. The cold air is so deep across a large section of Texas and Louisiana. It is now snowing across the far southern parishes of Louisiana. There's been a little ice. Now, you and I last week was in the city of New Orleans, right?
We were.
Where it was cold, but it is just absolutely thumping snow from New Orleans toward Lafayette and toward Baton Rouge. John, we already have a report north of Lafayette of 10.2 inches of snow on the ground.
What a storm. This is going to be, as we've been talking about, it's such a rare, this will be a historic storm that people are going to remember for generations. Think about this in terms of living in New Orleans. You could live in New Orleans your entire life, or in other parts, Lake Charles, or other parts of southern Louisiana, and never see this amount of snow. So that's such an unusual event, and it's all being driven by just how impressive this cold air is, this bitter cold, feeding into the system with plenty of moisture from the Gulf. That's a recipe for big problems. And Bernie, you were mentioning, you and I were along with other members of the AccuWeather team, at the American Meteorological Society conference last week in New Orleans. And one of the things we were talking about is the number of elevated roadways there. And that is just going to add more problems. Lots of elevated roadways along waterways here along the Gulf Coast. That's just adding more problems because those are going to be especially slippery.
Snowing across the Florida Panhandle this afternoon. City like Jacksonville, rain goes over to a period of snow. Tough forecast along the coast of South Carolina and Georgia, where it may be a lot of rain that goes over to freezing rain and sleet. Nonetheless, John, look at our snowfall map. There it is as we head into Wednesday morning.
Heaviest totals along that I-10 corridor, especially in Louisiana, but we're going to be concerned with the risk for several inches of snow across the Florida Panhandle, even places like Destin, Florida. And that, of course, as we talked about, as the storm turns up the coast here a bit, the character of the storm changes a bit more. There can be some more sleet and freezing rain mixed in, but still think there are going to be significant accumulations for those areas.
It's over in Houston, it's over in San Antonio, but the heavy snow continues to fall along Interstate 10 in Louisiana, where we're looking at over 6 inches of snow. AccuWeather Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Porter. John, thanks for joining us here on AccuWeather Ahead.